Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Eye Opener Society. Thank you so much for tuning in and enjoying our little show here. And I wanted to start out by saying, you ever feel like you're manifesting something and you're on the right path and you're manifesting it, and everything's going just as it planned? And then all of a sudden, something happened. Boom! It all goes right back to the way it was before. What's going on with timelines? Well, I was brought up. Something was brought up to me that that whole CERN, the Hadron Collider, or whatever it's called, that's smashing atoms and creating black holes. Well, they're shutting it down now for the next 4 years because they want to upgrade it. So I guess they're going to make bigger black holes. Who knows? But the talk is that these black holes that are being formed are disrupting our timelines, creating a lot of Mandela effects and all that. So maybe, just maybe, that's what's going on. So before we jump into the show, let me say thank you to Appalachian Rootworks, Rooted in Ruins. Please visit them down in Cynthiana, Kentucky. Metaphysical shop, full service. Carly and Carla, absolutely amazing. And so is everybody else that works at that shop too, as well. Go down there, visit them, buy some stuff, get some of their services. And if you can't make it down there, just jump on AppalachianRootworks.com, see all the services that they have, because a lot of the stuff they do can be done remotely. You don't have to go into the shop, although it's worth the trip. I mean, I drive 8 hours down there. So big thank you to Carly and Carla, Appalachian Rootworks, Rooted in Ruins. So with these timelines, and I always think about this, I always said, I'm always manifesting that I'm rich. Well, I never get rich. I come up with the theory that, well, maybe I wasn't never supposed to be rich. So I find something else to manifest. And like I said, you're on that path, you're on the right path, you're doing everything, you believe in it, you're pulling it in from the universe. Then all of a sudden something happens. Boom, you go right back to square one. And I've noticed some people that are really happy at one point, and then all of a sudden, boom, they just drop. And this isn't the normal up and downs of life. I kind of noticed that it just seems to be little jumps in timelines, which makes me think if there's these little black holes that are being opened up, well, what are they letting in, or what are they letting out? Or is it even that? We just don't know, but something is definitely manipulating timelines. As always, I have the wonderful cosmic fairy Princess Lizzie here with me, which I'm always so happy to have. And so, Lizzie, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, my thoughts are a little bit chaotic because how do you really talk about time? Um, so I don't often like to get too much into the conspiracy theories anymore. But the CERN one has always been one that kind of got me a little bit. If I remember correctly, the first time that they operated it was actually like right after I graduated high school, and so which was 2012. And remember, the world was supposed to end in 2012. So I kind of grew up thinking, well, like hopefully the world doesn't end and all of this high school was for fucking nothing, right? Well, the world didn't end, but I do remember this day, a couple of days after graduating, where we were all sitting on the couch, and it was like I just like looked around and everything was weird. And I was telling people about it, and they're like, "Okay, Lizzie, like what drugs are you not sharing with us? Like what's going on?" But like I couldn't explain it, but nothing was the same, and that lingered for weeks before I got over it. And then it was like years later that I noticed that that's when CERN supposedly started, and then we imploded or something like that and got shifted to the next timeline. That was the common conspiracy theory of the time. And I don't know about that, but I thought, well, I certainly think I noticed when they did that, and in theory shouldn't. So in theory, there's something to that. But okay, so the main reason I don't like to get into conspiracy theories is because I do believe that time is very fluid. And I believe the Earth, especially right now, is actually at like a crossroads of a lot of different timelines. And so when you attach very strongly to a conspiracy theory or a certain like stream of history, then you're kind of on that timeline. And I've been having a lot of fun kind of jumping around and seeing which one suits me best. And so I don't really want to attach to anything. So I don't want to like overthink the conspiracy theories too hard. But some of them are too good to not. I used to be really, really into them. I would read all of them. But the thing about timeline jumping is okay, whether CERN is actually like purposefully manipulating the timelines like they say that they are or not, it would, in theory, doing something so outside of our natural ability to do so, in theory, that would change our timeline every time. I yesterday, okay, years ago, like 2016, my daughter and I found this random little maze pathway on the side of a church, and we started running through it because that's a great way to keep a 2-year-old occupied. It was contained, and she had to follow the path in and out, right? But over time, she asked me what it was for, like a couple years later when she could talk, and I never gave serious answers. I thought it was fun just to be goofy. So I told her that it was a portal to the next timeline. And from then on, we just kind of always joked about it, like, oh, we haven't been to the time portal in a while. Let's go back. And we'd run in and then we'd run back out and we'd pretend it was like a whole new world. And this was like long before I was really like into time or anything like that. It was just like one of the I also told her mountains were made out of crayons, you know what I mean? It's just like one of those goofy things you say. But the thing is I haven't been back there for a couple of years. I've forgotten all about it. And you and I have been talking about time for weeks now. But for some reason, just randomly, it popped back up in my head. I've lived back in the area for like a year and a half, but I just thought about it yesterday. And so I was like, okay, family trip. We're gonna all go to the time portal, right? So I pack everybody up. I don't tell anybody where we're going. And then once we get there, everybody knows because I brought my husband there when we first met too, because got to take the new love to the time portal, right? So we all ran through as a family, and everybody's laughing. But one of the funny little synchronicities that happened with it was when we were about to go in, I was going to tell everybody they had to run out backwards. But then I was like, no, it's too much. You already made everybody like come out here with no warning, anyways. And so I didn't. But right as my oldest goes in, she says, okay, and everybody has to run out backwards. And I was like, ah, now, can I tell you that we jumped timelines? I can't say that. Do I actually think that that is a specified like time portal? No, I don't think that either. But I do think repeatedly doing something while saying something with an intention can do it. And that's the thing about the timelines is that there's so many things affecting us all the time. I think like I'm having an original thought and then it's like written in the stars, like, oh, well, everybody's transitioning out of this inner wound. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? And so if you think about it, like that's a crossroads for opportunity for a timeline jump right there. Every time astrology gives you something to work with. And I think each conspiracy can really be a timeline. And I think most of them are true, but not on the same timeline. And so that's why I think you got to be really careful what you pick there.
I totally get that. And I really didn't want to go hard on the conspiracy theories either. I mean, I can. I love conspiracy theories. I love talking about them. I love trying to figure them all out. Um, but timelines are there. And yeah, we can jump them. But if we mix in this little theory, because obviously something's happening, like you said, bigger than what they think that they're doing. I mean, they're probably doing stuff that's really cool, but we are smashing atoms. And this has the possibility of generating these black holes, no matter how small, no matter how large. And then when we look at what you're talking about, like your little time portal place, yeah, these places, I believe they exist. I know they're out, west and all that. But if we take our own timelines and just the way we interact daily, I like to picture like the world is complete, time completely stops. Nothing's moving, nothing's there. And then as I go out into the world, everything starts moving in the vibration that I'm thinking. And that's what's bringing everything into my life. So we could think really cool stuff, really cool movie stuff, and, or we could just, it's just another rando day. But that's what happens, at least in my mind. Everybody could be different, but yeah, I like to picture the entire world, just no movement, nothing. It's just still time don't exist. I walk through it, and whatever I'm interacting with is what's happening. And that's how I feel these timelines go. And we can manipulate them and jump them by thinking differently, or there could be events that occur, kind of like the Hadron Collider. If it did go off back in 2012, 2016, whenever it started up, do we create different timelines in addition to what we already had, or did we remove some? Or did we just all shift, like you said, into another timeline? Now, these are theories that we can, you know, think kind of logically and without any scientific knowledge whatsoever. But it leads me to believe that something is happening because there are Mandela effects, and that's been the big talk, oh man, like the Fruit of the Loom symbol, or their logo completely changed from what we remember it, things like that. And people are starting to recall that. And it's not just one or two people, it's massive amounts of people. So, did something happen? And what can we do to protect ourselves and our own timelines?
My theory with that one with the Mandela effect, that because like I said, I think Earth is at like a crossroads of many timelines. And so when the Mandela effect happens, because in theory, even though there's infinite, there has to be one that's like lowest, right? And so lowest one's always like they collapse upwards. That's supposedly like how it works. And so when different timelines go, eventually it shrinks down to where there's a lot of different histories, but they all merge. And so what happens is maybe you and I both had, say we're on the same timeline where the Fruit of the Loom had the cornucopia. But we're not on the same one on I can't even remember any of the other ones that were real popular except that Sinbad movie. You know what I mean? But so what happens when they start merging together is we'll have different memories, and that's where you get the Mandela effect. But what I've noticed is the more people argue about it, the more it like solidifies into something. And I notice this about myself when I'm jumping timelines and doing different things. The more I'm insistent that another person still is the way they were like before I shifted, then they are that same person, which would also shift you again if you were originally like resonantly matched with that version, I guess. And so the thing about timelines is that I think that you do have to kind of give it a little bit of freedom. That maybe maybe that was crazy and it means something. Oh, maybe it doesn't. The theory that I saw about CERN is that they're shutting it down because they've officially put us on the worst timeline and now they're just like letting it play out, right? But like, okay, sure, maybe that's one version. Maybe there is a world where that's the truth. But there's also probably a world where they actually really did need to upgrade. There's probably a world where maybe they did figure out they can do something with timeline particles, and now after these upgrades, they'll start. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these different things, and the truth is that there's probably multiple of those truths all at once. And if we argue about it, then I think that like solidifies us. You mentioned like protecting us, and one of the best things I think you can do is just trust that you're on the best timeline and give everybody else freedom to have a different history than you, because then it allows you guys both to actually kind of coexist in almost different timelines.
That's a good way of looking at it. And I appreciate your input so much because I was sitting, kind of thinking about this topic. And I know even you were a little, yeah, okay, we could talk because we can always talk about timelines. We always do. It's kind of a fun subject. But when we throw in like these little extras, like these conspiracy theories and the CERN and the collider and all, now it does. It kind of starts solidifying a path or a timeline that we should be on. Me, I like to think I'm on my timeline. This is mine. There's many probabilities out there that I can walk into or jump into. I just don't want it to be manipulated by something that's not controlled by me. I would rather control my timeline rather than having this collider change it. But again, it's all theory. We don't know exactly what's going on. And when we don't know, that's when I have problems because when we're playing around with things like this that we really should not be playing around with, things can happen knowingly or unknowingly, or maybe on another timeline, it's knowingly. We just don't know. So again, that's when theories start to come up. So that's why I kind of chose this little talk. For anybody out there listening, everybody has their own theories too. And everybody else might be on different timelines as well. And I think that's kind of exciting to think as well. We could be sitting here talking, and then when this recording comes out, there's going to be different people listening at all different times, which are all on different timelines. So I wonder if that makes sense.
I mean, I followed it.
Okay. It's always been the thing. Like, it's just like doing these shows. These are pre-recorded. And like I said, I could say, well, tomorrow is this, but when somebody tunes in, we're already on a whole nother timeline at that point. And then if someone tunes in 10 years from now, what timeline are we on then? What we are saying now might be affecting what goes on in the past or in the future and past too. Because here's the thing, I can say, oh, this big thing is happening tomorrow, this big event. And then when somebody tunes in 10 years ago, they might research and see what that event actually was. Now they're going back into the past. There's a lot of timeline jumping going on just from doing this show. Now, throwing a couple of little black holes here and there, where is it going? I guess that's the question. I guess that's why I brought all this up.
I, I think I think it just goes somewhere else, still in the time pool. But, that's just like when I think about it, that just seems to make sense because energy can't be destroyed or created, right? It can only change forms. Like even in a black hole, the black hole has to come out somewhere with something. I'm really hoping they figure that out in my lifetime. I'd really like to know, like officially.
It's interesting to me. As much as I discredit a lot of science because I they try to discredit quantum physics, which is science, but they call it a pseudoscience, but there's something behind it. And it's great if we can figure all of this out. But it's also great when people have their own opinions, their own theories, and their own ideas on this too as well. So I hope everybody has their ideas. I hope everybody's on the timeline that they want to be on without tripping into black holes. Lizzie and I, we wish you all of the best and we appreciate you joining us here. Stay tuned for our show. If you haven't caught them, and depending again what timeline you're in, um, I have the second part of my third eye meditation coming up on my Wednesday night guided meditation series. It's a 3-part series I'm very proud of. I got them all out there waiting for you. So please tune in if you want to learn something about third eye meditation. And don't forget to tune into our Thursday night sermons where Lizzie and I give our sermons. And that's Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They are live on Facebook and YouTube, or you could catch the recording right after. I want to thank everybody again, and we will see you soon.